Yes.
When you're around Steve, everyone in Team Gleason, his little inner circle of people, they're all incredible people.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like you said, when you're around him, you're inspired not just by him and Michel, but the people they attract are the same way. Blair and Claire and all these great people.
They really are.
It's a great group of human beings, and they've done so much to impact our city. Not only that, but the ALS community.
Yep.
They've changed lives.
Are you tired of the same old weekend routine? Looking for something new and exciting? Then get ready to rev your engines at Throttle and Swing, the ultimate entertainment destination at NOLA Motorsports Park. We're talking about an 80 configuration go-kart track that'll have you feeling like a pro racer. And that's just the beginning. There's also a brand new 18-hole mini golf course and a state-of-the-art arcade. When it's time to refuel, enjoy delicious craft pizza, a full kitchen, and a bar serving up unique cocktails and gourmet coffee. You can also kick back in the outdoor lawn area, complete with a playground, live music stage, a massive screen for watch parties, and free Wi-Fi. Perfect for work or play. Planning a party? Throttle and Swing has you covered for gatherings of any size. So what are you waiting for? Head over to NOLA Motorsports Park on the West Bank and experience the unmatched excitement of Throttle and Swing. Throttle and Swing at NOLA Motorsports Park. Get your adrenaline pumping.
Chocolate lovers rejoice. Scandalous Chocolates has arrived in New York with 4 sensational new varieties.
That's right. They aren't just chocolates. They're an experience. Premium edibles crafted with the finest ingredients, blending sweet and savory sophistication.
We're talking 20 milligrams premium chocolate lips, sleekly packaged, perfect for on-the-go indulgence. Nuts, fruits, caramel, it's an affair you can take anywhere.
At just $10, it's an affordable luxury. Fair trade, single origin, gluten-free, and vegan. Find Scandalous Chocolates at quality dispensaries like Travel Agency in Gotham.
Scandalous Chocolates. When you're in New York, awaken your senses and delight your palate.
The affair you could take anywhere. Scandalous. Are you looking for a unique New Orleans experience?
Check out New Orleans artist Frenchie at FrenchieLive.com.
Featuring original artworks, prints, and more. See it all at www.frenchielive.com.
Live event bookings are available. The gallery is open by appointment only.
And for private showings or parties, email info@frenchielive.com.
Experience the art. Experience the artist. Frenchie Gallery. www.frenchielive.com.
Hey, Jay, you hungry? Like really hungry?
Yeah, I'm in the mood for oysters. Hey, let's check out Trenas.
Oysters? I love oysters.
Trenas features a wide variety of local oysters. Char, grilled, baked, and on the half shell, even the famous oyster log.
Oyster log? I heard about that. You get 6 each of their signature baked oysters, plus 6 fried, all on a cypress slab?
42 oysters. We are going to love it. Trenas is located in the Hotel Intercontinental, 444 St. Charles Avenue, right on the parade route.
Sweet. When can we go?
7 days a week for lunch and dinner, plus a mimosa brunch on weekends, and happy hour daily from 3 to 6.
Happy hour? Nah, you're talking my language.
Great drinks, great wine list. An award-winning chef, Matthew Farmer, leads a team serving the best seafood in New Orleans. Trenas.
Trenas, got it. Let's go.
Walking, stepping down the street, y'all. Talking, never know who you're gonna meet. Dancing, the groove feels so good to me. Singing, wow, yes indeed, y'all. Soulful living is all we know how to do. Place on earth. I'm talking about New Orleans, the greatest place
so much emotion and building
Yes.
that night, right? And it just kind of all detonated in that moment.
It did.
Because there was such anticipation. I tell people, if you remember, and you were in New Orleans at that time, remember there was that kind of countdown.
Oh, yeah,
on
before.
On the side of the dome.
Yes.
Like football returns or Saints football back, and so every day it was kind of like that holiday calendar you had in Christmas. You were turning over the door every day, counting down the days to Christmas. That's what people were doing. And remember, it was week 3 before the Saints played a home game because they had to give them extra time to get the dome fixed. So it even built up even more. There's always anticipation for the start of the football season, but this one was a prolonged anticipation. All the preseason games were on the road. So it was really the first time back. And I always say, and it's hard to believe, by the way, it's been 20 years. We're coming up on the 20-year anniversary coming up. That's going to be pretty special. But I always tell people it was the right person to make that play. He understood the moment. He understood the significance. Steve was that guy. Obviously, at the time, he was dating Michel, who's a New Orleans girl. He ends up marrying Michel. But at the time, it was his girlfriend, but he got New Orleans. We talked earlier. Yeah. Certain people get it, certain people don't. He got it. He lived uptown. He lived in the city. So many of the players lived out in the gated communities outside, especially at that time. He lived in the city and would ride around uptown with a bike with a Saints helmet as his bike helmet. With the face mask
so
off,
awesome, dude.
This guy got it, and he was articulate enough to articulate what that moment meant right away. Sometimes you go in and look, I get it, man. It's right after the moment. Your emotions are still swirling in your head. It's hard to put into words what you just experienced or accomplished as an athlete or a coach. He knew right away, and he had unbelievable quotes after that game. I'll never forget interviewing him in his locker. He was still sitting there in his pads and his uniform and everything. It was well over an hour after the game because he was just obviously every reporter was talking to him, but he was also just drinking it up. That moment, he understood like he had done something very significant. I don't think he knew quite the significance we see now. There's going to be a statue. I don't think he knew that, but he knew it was a big deal. And my favorite part of that night, besides that athletic play by Steve, and it didn't happen by coincidence. I've written about it a bunch after that. I mean, they worked on that play all week. They saw a weakness in the punting scheme, the blocking scheme, and Steve was the guy they wanted to do it. They knew he knew how to do. There was a lot of things that went into it. It wasn't just luck, but the thing that was magical that night was that pregame musical act with U2, Green Day. Trombone Shorty's there, Irma Thomas. That was unbelievable. And kudos to the NFL. I know they get knocked around a lot here because of the no call, rightfully so. But the NFL did New Orleans right that night. They put that game on national TV, on Monday Night Football. They brought in, think about this, Leroy, U2 and Green Day are playing the pregame.
Right. That was like nothing like ever before. One of them could have easily did it.
Right. And that's a Super Bowl level musical act. And they're playing pregame. And then you had the Goo Goo Dolls outside on the apron before the game. There's never been a regular season game like that. Right.
Exactly. That I never thought about it like that. You're 100% right. There's not a preseason game that can touch that. I think that Tagliabue, after looking at Rebirth and all that, I think when they were like, Tagliabue was giving him like, you got to get this done or it's not going to get done. Like he realized, and also Tagliabue, a lot of people, and Arnie's a good friend of mine. Arnie kind of he took the hit for it, right?
Totally.
But the real person along with Arnie who is, I think, responsible for the stink still saying is Paul Tagliabue. Because he was like, he understood, is another emotional part for me. He understood what the team meant to us. I felt like he really did have his hand on the pulse of what, because he was like, there's no way you're going to like get rid of this team with these people and the way that they like look at this team. And I thank him for that, God rest his soul. But I'm just saying, like, it was something special for us. And going through it, we didn't really realize that. But when you're sitting here telling me this, and I'm going, wait a minute, you know what? There isn't a regular season game that can touch that. There's nothing.
Before or since.
Anything. Wow.
And I remember I got lucky. Sometimes you get lucky in our business, get to do things that you still think about, they're special. And the night before, so Brian McCarthy, who's still the vice president of communications for the NFL, I worked with BMAC a lot leading up to that game because I was I do a lot of stuff, as you know, that goes beyond the X's and O's of football in what I cover. I learned early on covering the Saints is about a lot more than just the football. It's the culture. It's the business side of it. I mean, this is like a Fortune 500 company. It's ingrained in the cultural fabric, Saints football in our city. It's a lot. Look at the series I did with you and I when we did the series on the super fans.
100%.
That's a good example. It's not just about the players. It's about everything that involves Saints football. And so leading up to that game, I was involved with a lot of big picture stories on the significance of the game and what it meant to the city. And BMAC, and being a good PR guy, called me that day and he goes, are you working? Or maybe I called him about asking him some things. He goes, hey, if you want to come down, would you like to come down and get into the dome? This is the night before.
Wow.
And watch the rehearsal. And I was like, yeah, I would like to do that.
Let me check my schedule. Absolutely.
So I got down there. I remember Sam Farmer with the LA Times, a good friend of mine, and myself got in the dome, and we were on the floor of the dome as they rehearsed. And they rehearsed for like 2 hours on that act. It was Billy Joe Armstrong, The Edge, Bono. They're all there rehearsing just over and over. But I remember listening to that, and the 3 songs in a row were When September Ends, which was a big hit by Green Day, The Saints Are Coming, which was that remade song.
Dude, you give me chills.
And then the third song was It's a Beautiful Day. Well, just think about those 3 titles.
Damn.
When September Ends, The Saints Are Coming, It's a Beautiful Day. The symbolism of that was powerful. And I remember sitting there listening to them sing these songs thinking, oh my God,
this is going to be insane.
Night, it's going to be insane.
Yeah.
And I think people were still buzzing from that performance. And then a minute and a half into the game, you get a block punt. I think that's part of what made that crowd noise so loud, that eruption of emotion, because I think people were still buzzing about the musical act. It was so powerful. And you don't think, how many games have you been to in your life? You never see a block punt 90 seconds into a game. It just doesn't happen early like that. Most of the time.
And they recovered it for a TD on
right.
It
just doesn't happen that early. I think people were just shocked.
Yeah.
And it just erupted. Oh my gosh, this thing is just, it was like an avalanche of emotion.
You couldn't write it any better, right?
No,
what actually could we have said and done differently to make that just be even more special? I mean, it was the touchdown, you blocked it. And I think Sean, the way Sean talks about it, was like, he goes, he never heard the thump like that when he blocked it. It was super clean. It was like the bomb went off, I think is his exact words. Like, boom. And it was just because it was, like you said, they practiced it, they did it. And man, that bringing me back to that. And just kind of like all those feelings and flavors and things where you were and what you were doing is like, it's definitely one of those moments you're going to always be like, where were you? I was the 10-yard line sitting there looking, going, we are going to kill anybody who was on the other team. Like the energy from all those 70,000 people plus was just like, it's on. Like we are ready for this day. We have been ready for the day for years.
Can I tell a story from the book about that night?
Absolutely, please.
So in the book, A Life Impossible, it's Steve Gleason's memoir. So if you haven't read it, I collaborated with Steve. It was an unbelievable experience. But Michel was heavily involved in the process as well. And after all, the post game I mentioned, Steve was in the locker room for a long time, and then they went out that night. They wanted to go celebrate, rightfully so, right? It was a magical night. And they met some friends, probably guys is it Igor's on St. Charles Avenue?
Yep. It's not too far from Mr. John's. Yep.
Right. So they were doing, I only think they went in. Steve was driving that pickup truck at the time, and he was with Michel. And they pull up outside, out front. All their friends come barreling out, and they all start doing shots. They're doing shots around Steve's truck. And Steve is going to they were going to go on up to the Maple Leaf to see Papa Grows Funk, and play that night at the Maple Leaf, which is classic New Orleans scene, right? which I can't think of a better way to celebrate, right? Because the players have the Tuesday off, so he was going to be able to, party that night without having to worry about being at work the next day. And as they pull away from all Michel and Steve's friends and everything, Michel, can I
You
say something off color?
Oh yeah, whatever. It's totally fine.
Okay. So they pull away. If you know Michel and Steve, she turns around and screams back, "I'm going to suck his dick for all of New Orleans tonight."
It's awesome. I love them, bro. The Variscos are really good for
They're the best.
all of them. Vinny and then all those cats.
That
They're
almost
really
didn't
good.
make it through the editing process
Right.
because Jill, Michelle's
So
mom, did
beautiful.
not want it
That's
in there.
right. I mean, Jill's a sweetheart too. I ran into them at the Mardi Gras this year at Crescent City Steakhouse. But they're such a quintessential New Orleans family, and it's so fitting for him to marry her because she is such a rock star too, just
God.
like he is. But just a quiet storm and just a beautiful person too. Like with that, I love Michel so much. She's such a good person, and I mean they just all like quintessential leaders.
They
know what
were
I mean?
meant,
They're
they were meant to
just-
be together. They're two of the strongest people I've ever met. And I mean, obviously in my job, I meet a lot of people, a lot of incredible athletes, people
Yes.
that reach the highest levels of the profession, people I admire a lot. But there's a reason, Steve and Michel's story has resonated beyond sports.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason, he won that, Arthur Ashe Courage
Yes.
Award. There's a reason someone like Bill Gates wants an audience with Steve, or
Yes.
Barack Obama wants an
Yeah.
audience with Steve. Some of the world's greatest thinkers
Yes.
want to be around Steve. There's a reason that someone like Thomas Morstead and
Yeah.
Drew Brees are so inspired by him. I mean, think of all the great athletes they've been around.
Yeah.
He's the most inspirational person they know.
A lot
that
of
tells you a
people.
lot.
Yeah, it is, man. I mean, Steve is just a person that he makes you want to be better. You've
Very
been
much.
around people like that. You know what I mean? Like, and on a personal level, like sometimes you get people like that, but you almost feel like you have to be at a certain level to feel it. But I'm talking about a little kid to an older 90-year-old person and all the people in between. Steve inspires them in such a way all the time, because like he's almost like the David and Goliath always. Like he's not big guy. He's unlike most guys his size probably wouldn't make it to the NFL. You know what I mean? And definitely wouldn't be able to have the work ethic and the things that he does, and just the beat of his own drum, I think is a really special ingredient in him.
Yeah.
Like he believes in himself and things that he can do. And not necessarily even things that he don't believe, but he'll still go and accomplish it and do it and tackle it
And
like his life.
And he attracts so many incredible people into his orbit.
Yes.
When you're around Steve, everyone in Team Gleason, his little inner circle of people, they're all incredible people.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like you said, when you're around him, you're inspired not just by him and Michel, but the people they attract are the same way. Blair and
Yep.
Claire and all these
Yep.
great people. It's
really are.
It's a great group of human beings, and they've done so much to impact our city. Not only that, but the ALS community.
Yep.
They've changed lives. I have a colleague from the Times-Picayune, former colleague, Rusty Costanza, a longtime photographer who was diagnosed with ALS in the last year. And I saw him the other day, and he said Team Gleason's changed everything for him.
Dude,
in
he
this
put that like for people to live on their own.
very much.
Like him talking with his eyes through this thing was just like from something that he did with them. I mean, that's monumental things that not only like making his life better, but other people's lives
He
better.
is a force of nature. His willpower is unlike anything I've ever seen. I really saw it up close on the book project because, writing a book is a grind. It is, I always say it's like this black cloud over your head every day. You get up, it's there. It's not going away. You've got to deal with
Yes.
it. But Steve, I just saw the traits and the characteristics that allowed him to be that everyman you talked about, that David to play 7 years in the NFL as an undrafted free agent, to become a team captain and an all-pro special teamer. Those traits that he applied to overcome all those obstacles and have that career he applied to the book. I mean, he was the same way. Every day we had to get up and we had to work on this book. and his eyes might not be working that day, and that's how he communicates on the
Right.
computer. And he just nothing gets in his way. He is a force of nature, and his willpower. Every morning, Leroy, every morning he gets up, it's like a 45-minute routine to get him out of bed with his care team,
Yep.
get him showered, get him just prepared
For the
for
day.
life. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that happens every day. And he's not just, we all know the story, but he's not just living with ALS. I mean, he is living life.
Yeah.
You know, he's
That's
going
what I
out.
said.
He's
I
at
just
Jazz
saw him at
Fest.
Jazz
Yeah,
Fest,
every
you know?
day he's at Jazz.
Yeah.
So those lessons, those life lessons from the book, if you haven't read it, I mean, I know I was involved, so I'm
it's right
biased.
up there.
But
Yep.
it's there's just so much in there you can glean from this guy and Michel, how to live life and how to take adversity. And he's got more adversity than just about any of us are going to encounter with what he's dealing with. And to come out the other side, you talked earlier about gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was very applicable to his life. I mean, that's where he's at in life now. You know, the early days of ALS, his mantra, of course, was no white flags.
Mm-hmm.
And he was taking this kind of defiant approach to the disease and the diagnosis. And that got him through those early stages. But he's at a different place now. He's very much grateful for what he's got, which is his family, his friends, this group where he can actually impact lives. He's taken what should be a negative situation and turned it into incredible positivity throughout the world. I mean, it's an incredible mindset that he has. And there's a part of me that really believes he was dealt this hand in life because whoever it is, the higher power, whatever you believe in, knew he could handle it.
That's what they say. Even when I was younger, they always would say in my family that if you're having a rough time or you see somebody having a hard time or whatever, it's because God knew that they can handle it. They have shoulders to do it. Because sometimes you feel like, man, why me? Why do I have to go through? But when I was younger, they would be like, because you can handle it. Because it was put there before you can. Some people can't handle it. And boy, can he handle that situation. I mean, I know it ain't easy. Like you said, 45 minutes a day just to get going. You know, some people will break most people. But what I'm saying is he is that guy that can go down that road. And I'm sure he ain't every day having the best day of his life and all, but he is the person who can handle it and understand it, keep on pushing, being more innovative, helping other people, and seeing them be in a situation where he helped them push. You know, because a lot of people probably think, man, if they didn't have all this stuff, I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't be able to live alone. I wouldn't be able to do these things. But because of Steve Gleason, now they can. And now that you can.
He's got that. We wrote about this in the opening chapter of the book. In his bathroom, on his wall, he's got a photo of I forget the monk's name. It's a Buddhist monk, if you remember, self-immolated back during the what was it, Tiananmen Square.
Mm-hmm.
And basically it was his way of protesting. He lit himself on fire in front of all these people. And the New York Times, David Halberstam ended up writing the story. I think it won a Pulitzer Prize about it. But he didn't move as he burned to death. And Steve talked about this monk, and he said, just think what mental strength he had to have, what his mind must have been like as he was burning to death and not moving. To the strength that he has to have, and that inspired Steve. So Steve goes through every day looking at that picture thinking, I've got to have this mindset every day. I can't let outside anything, distract me. That mental toughness that this monk had, Steve is the closest thing I can think of to him.
Dude, that's in living like times like right now and going through it every single day. That I can help every single person. Like you may think a lot of things that are overwhelming to you, or you just won't be able to do it, but again, you and I spoke about this earlier about your subconscious thought process. So his subconscious thought process, and Steve is like this guy's approach, like, you know what, I can do it because I have to have this ability to stand in the fire and not be fazed by the feelings, the burning, the sensations, but I have a mission, and this is the mission, and I'm pushing, like helping people is the mission, and showing people they can do it is the mission, and not flinching in a sense, you know what I mean?
Right.
it's very powerful to hear that. And Steve is quintessentially a New Orleans guy, you know, like he is that everything that embeds us and all the things like, you know, resilient, all these different things, you know. Steve's amazing, man. There's not much I can say besides that, but can you tell us about the feeling you felt? I'm switching gears a little bit. The feeling you felt once you covered the Saints for so long that they were like, okay. But they weren't that, they when you first came, they started an up spiral, right? And just, can you talk about how the ebbs and flows of from them being there to going to the Super Bowl to being where we are right now, you know, like the rebuilding and all that stuff. But like, so I guess I'm saying did you have any idea that year that this team was special? Like you're seeing them like win, you know, and then like 3-0, 4-0. I mean, like when did you think, this team could probably contend to be because you got to think about the stigmatism that we had. Lovable losers, always going to have something happen. Oh, it's the field is under Native American burial grounds. This team's never going to win. Voodoo, right? So when did they break through that for you to say, like, when did you feel like there was a possibility that this team could go? Do you remember something like that?
I distinctly remember. So let me back up a little bit on that. So every year I do a preseason column where I interview all the, basically solicit all the local media for their preseason predictions on the team. I've been doing it for 20-something years. Well, back then I wasn't doing that poll. It was my colleague, Brian Alley Walsh, who was doing it. And I remember giving him my sheet of paper at practice that day, and I picked him to go 12-4 before the year. No one was picking him to go well. I was like the homer in the group, and I'm not a homer. Right. But I just remember thinking, first of all, I knew Greg Williams. I'd covered the Tennessee Titans.
Boy, is he good.
And I knew he was going to change their defense. I had great respect for him, still do. And they'd kind of plugged all the holes in the offseason. And usually the offseason is a time of optimism. That's when everybody's undefeated and, you know, everything's great. But that year, I just felt like they were really smart in what they did. If you remember, they drafted Malcolm Jenkins, they signed Jabari Greer, they signed Darren Sharper. They just made a lot of good moves to fix the defense. We knew the offense was going to be great. If you remember that 2008 year, the year before, Drew almost broke the record, Dan Marino's record that year. Like, so the offense was humming at that time. They'd finally ironed out all the kinks between him and Sean, and they were humming. They just needed to fix the defense, and that mindset that Greg brought in
was
I could just feel it at practice. That, I mean, they were not backing down from the offense and practices. The scrimmages were practices were very intense, and I just felt like they're going to be good. You know, they were 8-8 or 7-9 the year before, but they weren't that far away from being really good. So I thought they would be good. I didn't know they were.
So you gave them 4 more games. Technically, is what you basically was saying. Okay, so that'd be 12-4. What they got?
But the game that really clicked was the game down in Miami, because that was
Reggie Air game.
Yes, that was a game they got down like 23-3 early. I think the week before, I may be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure my memory is correct. They'd beaten the New York Giants at home in a big game. It might have even been a primetime game, but that's a classic letdown. I've covered the NFL long enough. The NFL really is about a roller coaster ride of emotions, up and down. Your energy flows, and when you play teams matters. And that was a perfect example. You have this big win. You're undefeated. You're probably like 3 or 4-0 at the time. You just had a big emotional win on prime time. Now you got to go down to Miami, and you start the game kind of flat, and you're down 23-3 on the road. That's a game the Saints would always have lost. And most teams, frankly, would lose that. It's just not your day. It's easy to go, well, you know, we're still 4-1. You know, we're still good. But this game, it's not going to be in the cards. And they stormed back and not only won that game, they destroyed Miami. And I just remember thinking, wow, this team is special. I mean, you just don't win. I covered enough games in my career to know you just don't win a game like that. I mean, they came back and I think they won by double digits and they were down by 20 points.
You know,
that was special.
I'm sitting here listening to you, and not only was it special, but what's jumping out at me and just blowing my mind is that we would go back the Super Bowl to that stadium.
Yep.
And I'm wondering now, listening to you say that, did the team kind of, I don't want to say have an invincibility and be invincible to say, okay, we can do this. I mean, nobody goes to Super Bowl and say, hey, we're going to lose, you know, but the media and everybody with Peyton, we just needed to show up and lose. But knowing what they did in that stadium before, that probably could have been a little baby spark of saying, well, regardless of wherever we get in that stadium, we came back from a bunch of points. You know what I mean? And then we played tight. I think we were just like 3 points or something like that at the halftime. So they had to be feeling like, okay. And then Sean, you know, I talked to Thomas about the ambush, you know, it was like, he said they've been practiced, they were in it. He's like, you know, he's like, they probably not going to. He said they practice a lot of things all season. They never
don't run, yeah.
You know. But when he called it, and then he goes, he had 30 minutes to think about it. That's when it's like, oh, shit. But the fact that they went back to that stadium, man, and that's a game that stuck out to you of knowing that team was special. And then them going back in that same arena and winning.
And coming back behind that game.
Yeah.
The other thing I remember Sean telling me, now, he told me after the fact. He didn't tell me that week because they were obviously preparing for the game. But later on, he said, if you remember, the Saints were 4.5 or 5.5 point underdogs in that game, which is hard to believe now. Mm-hmm. But they were underdogs. And I remember him saying, we knew we were better than the Colts.
Oh,
he said, so for a coach, for you to be the underdog and know you have a better team, he goes, it's the best situation you could be in because now you've got the mental and the physical edge. The mental edge is we can be the underdog role, and I can play into that with my troops, but I know we're better anyway. And so for a coach, like, and you know, Sean was all into the mind games.
Yeah.
He was the master of that.
Yep.
And I really, I learned over the years covering Sean, the reason I respect him so much, mentally, he was such a great motivator. He knew how to play all these. He really taught, I think, people in Louisiana. He was such a great leader. He used to always say, "There's no crutch here. We have no excuses with injuries. You know, part of the game. You can't let your team fall back on that excuse mindset. You can't make excuses. You have to be mentally tough." And we're talking about Steve being mentally tough. That's why Steve resonated so much with Sean Payton and vice versa. He brought this mental toughness to the Saints that I'd never seen before. And when they would go on the road and play in a place like, remember that year they went to Philly and played in the playoffs and it was -6 or something, and the Saints had never won a game like that. That's the kind of thing Sean relished. He loved when people counted them out. He loved when they were counted out, in these games. It's when he, I think, performed best. And he was able to lift his team up through his mental toughness and his coaching. And I think Louisiana needed that, early on, right after Katrina, all of a sudden we had this kind of, we were roaming the wilderness in this unprecedented situation. And here steps into the fore, Sean Payton and Drew Brees, two of the best leaders I've ever covered. And they just happened to team up really, Drew wanted to go, let's face it, he wanted to go to Miami.
Yeah.
That's where he wanted to go. And I don't blame him at the time. But they red flagged his shoulder. Sean wanted to go to Green Bay. He didn't want to come to New Orleans.
Right.
Green Bay was a much more stable situation.
Yeah.
But they hired Mike McCarthy instead. So they end up here almost by default. And look what happens. It's one of the great stories in American sports.
And you would think, like, if you look back and not know those two things that you just said, you're like, because as a fan, you really didn't really understand or know that part because so many swirling rumors about whatever. But we were very happy that we got them. But the thing is, we respected them more because there was not pretty much nobody wanted to come here. Right. With the suit. Let's see, you got no team, you got no stadium, everything is underwater. You don't have, that's a great place. Let's go. You know what I mean? But thank God for that ship, the boat, the tugboat in the way when they had to sit there and think, because that's what Drew said. That's what made him say, like, Sean went to give him that ride, and then he got an opportunity to see what these people were going through. And Drew compared a parallel of kind of like nobody wanted him. Like Miami didn't want him, and they got rid of him there. So he felt that. And, the same thing that I think that Steve has, I know that Nine has it too. That same crazy, crazy willpower and just that vision of just always understanding and knowing that he has the ability to do whatever he wants to put his mind to and help other people doing it too and motivate them. When they came here, man, I just felt like I didn't even think that Aaron Brooks was our quarterback at the time. Like it didn't even match because it was just so with the whole Katrina thing and all that stuff. You just was like, man, we just didn't think about a lot of things. We just was happy to have a team. And then all of a sudden, oh man, we got something here. We really do have something with these guys. I mean, it's the first Drew Brees' first time in a dome was that block punt.
Right.
Like I never think about it like that. You know what I mean? But that's how special it really was, and for him to come and do stuff like that and be able to get a team on the map and then down the line, a Super Bowl, that's just, I mean, that's like you said, it's a great story in NFL, I feel like. So, I said we were going to be normally 45, 50 minutes. We have hour and a half, but it's just an awesome time talking to you, Jeff, man. And, if there's one question that I wanted to ask you was this, man. How has the ride been? Like, just the ups and downs and everything. Like, I just feel like you're a part of that Super Bowl team. You're a part of the person that came here with, and believed in us and has Pulitzer Prize winners and all these different accolades coming here and just being a part of a team that a lot of people will be like, man, I bet it must suck there. But it was quite the opposite. I see you in like from Clancy's to all the local places, just like Steve, like we keep beating it. I don't need to beat the dead horse, but you are a quintessential New Orleans person. Like as a journalist, I mean, how does it feel to go through all of that stuff and see the ups and downs? Does it make you feel like more of like you like slice your hand with the blood and become blood brothers with the city and like you're in like the moppy, like you're one of us, I mean, the ride, how do you feel? Like, I mean, obviously you're happy and you're excited, but did you ever think when you first came here that you would see all these different ups and downs and all these different highs and lows of what we are? Like, when you came, you're like, yeah, just a place. But then now you're like, relationship with Steve, relationship with Sean, relationship with all these things. And, you're the guy, honestly. You really are the guy. When you can't mention Saints football without talking about you, like from the players to everything, like, because you feed everything to us. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking any other folks. I'm just talking about how you came here and what you have built since you've been here. And for me as a fan, dude, thank you so much. I mean, because you were the person that told me and made me feel like believe in Shuck. And I was like, and I told every person, I'm even on the record. And I'm just saying, hey, man, I believe in a guy because he's hot. He's a 6'5" guy. We never seen really that. The guy can spin the ball. When I saw him throw the ball, I was like, damn. And then all of a sudden, the age and the injury, being able to come back from an injury, I thought was important. But those are things that I learned from you, and so I just accepted those things because of your hypothesis, right? And Reddick said it. Sean said, they all said that this guy was going to be, if not the best, one of the second best in the draft. People like, yeah, all right, whatever. And then last year, he was like, wow. Once he got in there, and I kind of felt like once he got in, and they gave the job. If it was a tie, they almost said the tie goes to the guy who was. I felt like because it was Dennis Allen's person, I think that Kalen couldn't just pull it all apart because it wasn't his guys. He had to leak, like, kind of respect those guys. But once people started getting hurt and he just, okay, let him go. And he was just like, it reminded me of not the winning part, but just the approach was like when the really good teams with Belichick, right? Like, next man up, like who's going to play? And he gave people chances because every week we go, damn, who is that guy? He's good, like you never knew. But he was letting people in. And a lot of that, I was thinking about what you tell me, like whenever you say things like, you don't know, and these guys are good, and and then they got to go into a system, and look at Shook now. And then even this year, I heard Louis Reddick said that Jordan, that he's going to be, that he's the best receiver out there. He's not taking anything from the guy from Ohio State, but I remember what he said about Shook too. He's saying the same thing about this guy. And so that makes me think about Kalen in his second year, because it was just his first year, this guy. He's had all this. Now he's getting his parts. He's getting his pieces. He's got ATN. He's got this, and it's shoring up the offensive line. So I'm feeling like it's something special. But each year, the question I was asking, each year is like a whole different thing, right? But how do you keep yourself in a situation where you're like neutral, but you feel like you could see some special things throughout the year, like just from 2009 to how all that stuff? How do you just?
Well, look, I think it all changed for almost anybody here after Katrina. When you go through something, that dramatic. I was here a few days after the storm. I rode the storm out at the paper. We escaped the city when the floodwaters got real high, and our back of our delivery trucks went to Baton Rouge. And then I got back in the city on that Thursday and started reporting. I recognized immediately that's the biggest story you're ever going to cover in your lifetime. I hope. Let's hope. But also recognize the responsibility we had as journalists. I mean, the city was basically evacuated. People were relying on us to give them information about their homes and the city that they grew up or they lived in and loved. So there was a tremendous obligation, but also an opportunity to make a difference in people's lives. We could inform them about certain neighborhoods and what things were like. I mean, I wasn't a sports reporter at that time. I was basically a news reporter, right?
You guys won a Pulitzer Prize.
Yeah, two actually.
Two of them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that was just an unbelievable time, and it changed me. I mean, I went through basically a total outlook, changed my outlook on even covering the Saints. Before that storm, I was all caught up with my blinders on covering sports and was so worried about sports all the time, and everything was X's and O's and sports. And after that, I realized, it gave me perspective on what sports really was in the community. And don't get me wrong, the Saints are huge. We've talked about that for an hour and a half on this program. They're a huge part of our culture and our city, but they are a small piece.
One tiny piece.
When it gets back to life. And that changed me, and it also made me realize like New Orleans is a special place. And I've had a bunch of opportunities to leave and go to other markets, bigger markets, but there's nothing like New Orleans. And I realized very quickly this was a special story that I could cover that I'm never going to get a chance to do in my career anywhere else. And also, like I said earlier, I didn't know the Saints had this special place in people's hearts. I didn't realize, the Saints are basically one of the three pillars of our culture here, along with music, along with the food and cuisine. There's kind of a three-legged stool here. And I'm fortunate to be in the role I'm in to get to tell those stories that so many people care about. So I have like a responsibility to do it right. But it's also a tremendous opportunity to change, whether I can just inform people. I had an editor early on in my career say, tell me something I don't know in everything you write.
Wow.
And it doesn't always have to be Nick Saban's going to be the new head coach of LSU. That's obviously inherent that that's news. But it could just be, hey, I'm going to tell you about this Buddhist monk's photo on the wall of Steve Gleason's bathroom. And you're going to get something out of that it's going to make your life a little better. You're going to learn a little bit by reading my work. That's how I attack everything I do. In a way, we're a little bit like teachers in a way. You're teaching us something about people we cover in the news. And that all changed. My whole perspective and outlook on what I do changed dramatically during those months after Katrina.
Wow. That's special. And I mean, that answers my question. And that's one of the things that I think etches out or comes across in your writing and your stuff more, like the realness, the angle that we as New Orleanians feel and see through those same visions, that same prism that you're looking through. And when you write your story, how they come out, you know what I mean? Like those things, like you just know the things that is special to us because you lived it. And on a very basic basis to like all the way up at the highest and seeing us at our lowest and all in between. So I think that I see how that can bring those things together. And first of all, thank you so much for not leaving, because you are a New Orleanian throughout, man. You really are. You're just like the Alley Walshes and all the other guys. You're the guy. And I'm honored to call you a friend, first of all. I mean, I said it before, there's billions and billions of people on this earth, and I consider you a friend, and anybody who would consider a friend, I think we're all as special to be able to have it. And I think it's special for you to come here, because when it started off, like you would have probably wanted to stay in Louisville,
right?
But it's like, nope, you got to go. You got to go.
Or chasing New York or the bigger market. That's what you're supposed to do in this business. But this was perfect for me, man. I don't want to go anywhere else. This is a magical place to live. It's special. There's a reason all of our friends come here and visit us.
Yes.
That's one of the other good things. You're always going to see your friends and your family because they're going to come visit you. Yeah. We're not Des Moines, Iowa.
Right. And so, Jeff, all right, I'm going to ask you if there anything that we didn't cover that you want to say, or if there's any way that you want to, people can get in touch with you. Obviously, they can look at the pitch, they can find you at the Athletic and all the stuff but is there any website or anything that you want to let people know to get a hold to you if they want to, or just how they can, if they got a great story, if they got something that they want to let you in on, just go to a website that you have?
Well, either reach out to me through the Times-Picayune email that's on every one of my stories on NOLA.com.
Bingo.
Or on my social media platforms. I'm on all of them.
Twitter, all that stuff.
The best thing, though, and it happens to me a lot now, if you see me out and you recognize me, come up and say hi. A lot of people are like afraid to say something. I may have written something that they don't like. I mean, that happens a lot. You can imagine. A lot of people still remember my Bounty coverage, my Bounty Gate coverage. But
I love it.
But come up and say hi and get to know me a little bit, know who I am. I'm out all the time, like you said, just like
always
you are.
At the right places too. You're not just out. Like you're at the place where all the local people are hanging out doing it.
Yeah, because and that's how I get a sense of the pulse of the community. When I'm out, now I'm going to give a plug to my restaurant Clancy's because I live in that neighborhood. But one of the reasons I go there all the time, not in addition to it being an unbelievable restaurant, is I've gotten to know the staff there. And to me, it gives me a real sense of what's going on in the city from a sports perspective. There's guys that work there that are from the West Bank, from Algiers, from Gretna. There's guys that live out in Kenner and Metairie. There's guys that walk to the restaurant from deep uptown. Not only so the staff, and they all have different interests. Some of them are big into the Pelicans, some are into the Saints, some of them are high school coaches on the side. And for me, I can get a sense of everything going on in the city sports-wise. Not only that, then there's also people that come in and eat there. That's where Sean and Skylene used to always go on Friday nights, Sean Payton and his wife. I'd see David Griffin in there. He lived in the neighborhood for the Pelicans. So I'm running into people not only of sources, but also just getting a sense of what matters in the city. And luckily, some people will be in there eating will recognize and come up and just say, hey, I enjoy your work. I like the column you wrote. That means a lot to me. And even if you don't like it, come up and say, hey, I didn't like it. I wish you would have said this, or maybe you could have backed off a little bit and not been as harsh, but whatever.
Come tell Jeff how to do his job. No,
because I have to write an opinion. So, sometimes my opinion, you're not going to agree with it, and that's fine, but don't be afraid to come up and just say hi and hang out. I was at Kingpin a couple of weeks ago on that Saturday afternoon they have outside. It's kind of like a little mini jazz fest out in the little neutral ground. And I had one guy came up to me and remembered a story I wrote before Katrina. I couldn't believe it. He doesn't even live in New Orleans. He lives up in New York. And he brought up this story I wrote, and it meant a lot to me that this guy still remembered. And not only that, he came up to tell me that.
That's awesome.
So please don't be shy. Come up and say hi, or come up and tell me you don't like what I wrote. But I want to get to know people, and those informed opinion, those opinions will inform how I write.
I actually was at Clancy's on last Friday. Typically, I'm on Bourbon Street on Fridays, but I was there last one, and a lot of time I didn't see him this time. But to your point of you don't know who you're going to see there. Multiple times I've seen the entire Manning family, like Olivia, Archie, and Coop and Pate. I mean, I see them like it's just in New Orleans. That's one of the things that a lot of New Orleanians, some of them have never been to Clancy's. Clancy's a very, very special spot. It's and the food is unbelievable. I think that the oysters, brie, and spinach might be the one best bite food out there.
Hard to beat it.
It is. Jeff, bro, we said it all. I mean, sitting here with you, bro, I know why you have those Pulitzer Prize winners, you're the sports writer of the year, all this stuff, because you're just a genuine cat, and I couldn't be more happy and more thankful to spend this hour and 40 minutes with you.
Got rambling.
No, man, it was good stuff. There's rambling because I can be the king of rambling, but I'm practicing on listening, and listening to you was a roller coaster ride, man. It got me. I had to get the tissue out. It was everything. But Jeff, thanks so much, man. A pleasure, bro. You're not gonna ever get this hour and 40 minutes back of your time, but I really do appreciate it, brother.
Dude, thanks for having me, brother.
Hey, look, guys, like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification button, because if you hit the notification button, you will not miss an interview like with this guy. And again, NOLA Motorsports Park, Trenas. We got a new sponsor coming on, Jam NOLA, and we also have Scandalous Chocolates. Thank you guys so much for supporting us and hanging in there with us. And remember, the world is full of good people. If you don't see one, be one. And there's always these 6 things that I tell people, Jeff, that they can do to have a great life. The first 3 things is always have humility, empathy, and compassion for yourself, because highly motivated people, we don't always celebrate the little victories on the way up, but you need to do that. Put a Gatorade on yourself. Go ahead and cheer. Just don't live there. And the last 3 things is always help people. Always be better than yesterday, because we're not perfect. We're going to miss an email. We're going to miss whatever. Always keep fighting to be better. And the last but not least, this is a tricky one. Leave the world better than you found it. How can you do that? You can do it with air, food, water. But what I'm talking about is wake up each day, meet a stranger, a person you never met that day. Have a great encounter with them, whether it's the post office, the gas station, the store. And then you guys go away 4-fold, 3-fold, say hi, and go and do that again. Isn't that leaving the world better than you found it? And it doesn't cost a cent. Hang in there. Remember this, New Orleans. In the words of John Baptiste, be who you are, because everybody else is already taken. Who that?
Walking, stepping down the street, y'all, talking, never know who you're gonna meet. Dancing, the groove feels so good to me. Singing, wow, yes indeed.